Welcome to Whatcha Makin, a podcast about sharing ideas and connecting with the maker community. Your hosts are Alex Adams of Type A Furniture and Alex Duffey of Duffey Woodcraft. Whatcha Makin is proudly sponsored by Next Wave CNC.
What you making in the shop today? Yeah. Got a couple Alice's to show you the way, from the blueprints to the shavings on the floor. Pull up a stool, let's see what's in store.
Welcome to Whatcha Makin. This is a podcast where we talk all about what's on our bench, spotlight makers throughout the community, and remind you that today, May 13th, is National Apple Pie and International Hummus Day. I wouldn't suggest putting those things two together, but hey, you do you. Tonight's main topic is listener questions. I'm Alex Duffey, and you can find me on Instagram and on YouTube at Duffey Woodcraft.
And I am Alex over at Type A Furniture on Instagram. And I prefer to have my apple pie with some vanilla bean ice cream. Vanilla, yes. Vanilla, yeah. That's like my preferred way of having pie. So,
I mean, that's the classic apple pie.
Yeah.
You know?
Or the whipped topping that you just put a little dab of that on top. Just a little dab.
A little dab.
Just a little dab.
Who else is a little dab?
You know, if you're looking for that little sweet treat, head on over to patreon.com/whatchamakinshow. We've got multiple tiers on there. But if you're not looking to add any tiers, you can also support the show by sharing any reels or sharing it with a friend or giving us a review. There's plenty of ways to interact. Pick your poison.
Indeed. Well, Whatcha Makin is proudly sponsored by Next Wave CNC. If you're looking for the best CNC on the market today, look no further than a Shark CNC from Next Wave. For the month of May, Next Wave is running an accessory special. If you purchase any of the new HD 6 series, pick an accessory up to $8.99 for free. And also, Next Wave is looking for the next project of the month. If you are a CNCer and create standout CNC projects that you think will inspire and appeal to a broad base of CNCers, all you have to do is reach out to Next Wave on Instagram with your idea of your project. You can get some more details from them. If your project is approved and published, they will pay you $500 for that project.
Nice.
So, yeah.
So is the
good, easy. That's one gas of tank today. One tank of gas.
Oh, that reminds me of that Futurama episode where he like goes back in time and Al Gore is like a taxi driver, and they're like, I can't remember what it was, but he was like, oh yeah, my fare's $100. That's enough to buy 1 gallon of gas.
Yep, pretty much. That's how it feels today. It hit $6 a gallon this weekend here.
And now with that May deal, can they get the 10.1 inch pendant with that? Is that eligible for that?
I believe it is, yes.
Okay. Yeah, because using that, like, it's just so nice having that really big screen, because it just feels, because I know the standard one that comes with it, which is like, yeah, it's like basically the size of your cell phone. Like it'll do the job, but it just feels so nice having the large one. You just feel so much more accomplished because it's like this nice display that you can use.
Yeah, it's got so many cool features, and it is such a an upgrade and easier to use, in my opinion. I always had problems with my big old fingers pushing the small buttons on the small thing, so I really like the big pendant.
Well, yeah, and they didn't. The nice thing too was they didn't like fill the UI with a bunch of stuff, so it was hard to read. Like, it's still, the UI is nice because it's not overcrowded with a bunch of extra stuff. So that's nice that it, like, just because it's bigger didn't mean that they filled it with a bunch of extra stuff and then it's like difficult to use. But yeah, because let's see. And then the XYZ touch plate would also be eligible under that one, right? That one should
of course
be.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah.
Though if I was getting my bang for my buck, I would definitely go for the pendant, because the price difference between that and the touch plate quite a bit different.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it just depends on what you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm excited to use that. So
yeah. Well, then let's move on right to our first segment then.
What you doing?
I clicked the button like 4 times.
There it
I
is.
swear. Yeah, there it is. Okay.
Gremlins
So
on the
on
internet.
on the bench for me this week. Very similar to the last episode, but a little different. So I helped this past weekend. It was beautiful mid 80s on Saturday. It hit 90 here on Sunday, which is absurd for this out. Yeah, we broke a record for the hottest day on record in May. And it's only May. It was only May 3rd at that point. So yeah, fun.
Gross.
But so we were over at our friend's house. They are refurbishing a chicken coop that was on their land that they bought. And so we helped them do some more chicken coop related projects. I had also made a chicken coop sign for them that they had ordered from me. And so I delivered it last week to them and they put it up this weekend. So if I can quickly just pull up the picture here, I will show it to those who are listening or watching. Where's the downloads? There it is. All right. So I can't see. I did say it. All right. There we go. So there is the chicken coop and the Casa de Pollo sign on there. So she was really excited about it. They really like it. I think it looks really good against the
It's giving Hey Hey vibes.
Well, that's exactly what they wanted. They wanted Hey Hey, and so I gave them a Hey Hey. Big chicken on the egg. So for those listening, it's a giant egg with Hey Hey carved into it and painted on such, and it says Casa de Pollo on it. So it's a cool.
I was
sign.
actually in Tractor Supply Day when they have chickens in there, so I always like going around and looking at all the weird names that they give all the chickens, like the different breeds and everything. It's pretty funny. They did have ducks too.
Yeah. She had another sign that she put on the other side that she had ordered from Amazon that just says Fluffy Butt Hut, which I thought was really funny too.
That's good.
But yeah, so that was fun. So worked on that. It was a little abnormal for my, I don't usually work on chicken coops, so that was different. But it was definitely fun. Saw a bunch of snakes, which the person who was doing it with me, we found a snake nest underneath the coop and she was not pleased. She doesn't like
what kind of snake?
So, gardener snake. Just
okay. I didn't know if it was like a bull snake or like other stuff. Like I'm assuming, are they just because a gardener snake is not gonna they're not really gonna mess with the chickens, are they?
I don't even think so. It was black with yellow little like stripes on the back.
Yeah, the long yellow stripe down the middle. It's the exact same as the snake that was in my garage in the fall, which we'll see if that had babies that will wake up this spring in my garage.
So I don't think it will, but who knows? They'll find out. She moved to the nest. So
well, yeah, because they're nowhere close enough to want to like eat eggs or anything like that. So
I think they go through the egg. They don't go over it. Like they don't go unhinge and go eat it. They like break the egg.
They just like
suck out.
Oh, they just suck out the yolk. Interesting.
I'm pretty sure they do.
Google this.
So yeah. So besides that, UFO Fest is officially at this point less than 2 weeks away. So I'm in the throes or thrones or whatever you want to say of building all my UFOs. This weekend I got all of the bases with all the finish done on all the bases. So spray finish on the big fancy ones, and then I did a oil finish on the smaller ones because I'm doing 2 price points this year. So that was good. And then I got all of the UFO saucers themselves sprayed with finish so that they're done. And then today, actually, while I was working during my day job, it was pretty slow today. So I just sat at the dining room table and started doing all the electrical wiring, which will take me probably the rest of the week. But so I'm going to end up having, I counted today, I have 75 of the lamps that I'm making for the thing. So quite a few. It's the biggest batch I've ever done. Last year, I only did 25. So it's a lot bigger batch this year. But it'll be good. I'm excited. So it's been really busy. All the electrical work. I actually bought myself a little soldering station because I had a solder gun, a soldering iron that was given to me by Victoria's grandfather. Doesn't have a stand, doesn't have like, the thing you're supposed to clean it off with, the mesh, and like
Mhm.
it definitely has been around since the 1940s when I'm sure he got it new. So it's old and crusty, and it wasn't great. So I bought on Amazon, I found for $40 a new soldering station. It's got two of the little clamps to help you hold the wires. It's got a magnifying glass. It has all the, different attachments. Came with a spool of solder, and then connects to a dispenser, so it can come out and you can just tap it and get the amount of solder you need. So it was super cool. I'm super excited about it. So tomorrow when I start actually do the soldering of the electrical, it'll be really a lot helpful. So I'm excited
Did
about
you
that.
do you have the little flux stuff to dip the ends in to kind of help the solder go onto the wires and stuff that you're soldering?
I don't. Do I need that?
It
I don't know
helps.
much about soldering.
So I've done some soldering on some stuff in the past. So preferably you want the 60/40 solder because it just flows a whole lot better. And then you can get like
So
solder
because
paste.
I'm just connecting wires. I'm not putting it on a board or anything. So do I still need
Yeah, so
flux?
it helps because the wires, are they aluminum or
Copper.
Copper,
Copper.
okay. Because you can get some, cause you can do this without, but in my opinion, it just makes it cleaner and easier, because if you dip the end of the wire in that flux, it's kind of like a waxy substance. So if you just dip it in there and then you get a glob of solder just kind of hanging on the end of the tip, you just do it that. Or you can actually, what might be good for you if it's a bunch of wires is a solder pot, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's like when you've got the just a little like chip dip sized thing in there that's just got solder in there, and you just dip the end of the wire in there, and you're pretty much like you've got it on there and it's coated. I don't. You might be able to dip them in at the same, because you're just doing end to end on the
Right.
cables. Okay. Yeah, because you could do that. I mean, because you could also do a mechanical connection if you really wanted to, like the ones where you feed it through and then you just crimp it. You could do that, but I don't know. You probably, because it saves space to do that. Because do you need it to stay that same diameter to feed through?
No, I've got some shrink stuff that I've cut to
Okay.
size and then
Yeah, so there's a few options. Sometimes it comes down to preference and what you can economically do and how much like labor you want to put into it versus getting the extra like crimping accessories or whatever. Because I mean, soldering is going to get you your better connection, but yeah. So that's because what I will do is, a lot of times if it's just like the ends of wires, get solder on there to begin with. So you dip it in the flux stuff, and then you put solder on there, and then you use your little helping hand things to hold the wires together, and then you get another glob of solder, and then just kind of go over top of it, and then you're pretty much covered. But I never had to do that stuff in like a batch scenario. So I'm trying to think on the fly of, wait, because you've got how many soldering
75
joints
lamps
do you have?
Each each light does 3 joints.
Okay, so 3. So is that 3 as in 3 pairs or just 3 connections?
Black wire to black wire on the switch. Red to red to red. So 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 connections.
Okay.
Because it goes from
Yes,
power comes in, goes to the switch goes to the LEDs go back around, like so red around and black out. So yeah, I think there's 4 total.
Yeah, using the helping hands, the little not crimper, little clips that hold the wires in place to hold them over top of each other while you put the solder on, definitely helps, because you don't have a third hand for all of that stuff. Cause you can,
Oh yeah. When I was last year when I was doing it, I was literally like, I used my elbow to hold down the wire at one point, and I'm like doing this and
yeah,
having
that,
my hand all crimped, and as I'm like holding 3 wires between 3 fingers to put them all together. Yeah, it's I'm glad I did this. It's going to make it go by a lot quicker.
yeah. Cause you
and
could also,
easier.
I mean, you don't have to do like a primer step where you don't have to coat the wires before putting them together to then essentially join them with the solder. You can do that all in one step if you want.
Okay.
And you should be just fine as long as they're like basically overlapping. Cause I like the way that you're technically supposed to solder is you're supposed to technically warm up like put it on the metal contact point and heat up the metal, and then you're supposed to bring in the solder into that point and feed it in, almost similar to how people weld. The cheaty pants way that I do is I just take the solder, I feed it on until I've got a big glob on the end of the soldering iron, and then just slip that over top, because
That's what
it's
I've
worked
always
just
done.
fine. Yeah, so it works just fine. I think you might be more susceptible to a cold solder joint by doing it that way, but when it comes down to it,
Yeah, but
it's
I
usually
mean,
done
it's
just
not
fine.
like, one, it's a lamp, it's just going to be sitting there, but two, also once it's soldered together, I then slip the shrink wrap over it and then heat shrink it, so then it's
Yeah,
locked in place, so it's not going anywhere
yeah,
or breaking.
yeah, because it's
Um,
not. Yeah, because it's not electronics. Because that's where that stuff kind of comes into play a little bit more. Because I've done that on smaller electronics where you're putting on like resistors or capacitors that are like just this little itty bitty like cube looking thing that you do,
mhm.
and that one it it makes a difference on that stuff. But the stuff that you're doing here, you can get away with a lot and anger a
Yeah.
lot of people. So definitely record videos of it, of
Oh
you
yeah.
doing it, and you will anger so many people. It'll be great.
Just like all the woodworking safety, I'll make all the people mad who are do electronics.
Exactly. Make
Um,
sure and just sorry, not lip, lick the tip
Lick.
of the soldering. Yeah, when you're done with it.
I like being able to taste things, so I'm not going to do that. um, yeah, so I have currently right now I have all the LEDs laid out. I'm doing this year. I'm doing blue and green. I've got a new LED that is red, blue, green, and it slowly cycles between all three, which will look really nice. So the beam will basically be slowly changing colors.
Is that a single
And then,
RGB LED?
uh-huh.
Okay.
Um, and then, but the nice thing is it always starts at the same spot. So if I wire multiple of the LEDs together, they'll always be at the same. They'll always start red, green, blue, and so on. Um, so it's not like I have to worry about uh, them not starting at the same start point. So, um, like you would with a mechanical piece that goes around. Um, so besides that, I have the red, blue, green, the multicolor blue and green, and then I also have ultraviolet purple. Um, and I'm not doing any red this year because I found the red beams really did not sell well last year. So I just don't think people like the red. Maybe it's just too angry. Um, and so the green and blue sold the best. So, and I'm only doing 3 purple, and I'm only doing it, but the color changing one I'm doing a bunch of, because I think that will do really well because it adds movement to it versus just a solid light. Um, so yeah,
Now,
so those are going. Oh,
the
go ahead.
solid light ones, do they just stay constant, or is there like a um pulsing to it?
They stay constant.
Okay.
Yeah, it's basically a night light that just stays on.
Gotcha.
So yeah, so that's going well. And then some exciting news this week. I have been accepted and will be doing a class at the Texas Woodworking Festival. So
Yay.
yeah, so I'll be traveling to Texas here at the end of September, and I'm going to be teaching a CNC custom game design class, kind of like my CNC Summit class. And we'll talk about how to, besides designing custom boards, how are you going to then batch them out? So selecting material, creating your paths inside of Vectric for batching out large batches at the same time, things like that. So and then I'll talk about pricing and how I sell them and stuff. So it'll be a good class. I'm excited. Texas was a great show last year. I think it's going to be a good show this year. They're definitely, I think they've scaled back a little bit this year. There's not as many presenters this year. But that also just could be, market's rough right now. So a lot of people are not going to be traveling probably as much as they used to. Mm-hmm. So especially at $6 a gallon.
Yeah. And you can't go on Spirit anymore.
Nope. You definitely can't. I saw a whole bunch of TikToks yesterday of people that were at the airport as Spirit shut down. Your flight's canceled now. It's like they had 1.8 million tickets this week that they had to refund.
Oh, so they just had to refund the ticket and then they just had to go buy it somewhere else in order to.
Yeah, they weren't rescheduling to other people. So if people were out if you were in the middle of a trip, like you were effed. So I feel for all the people that got stuck in locations and.
Yeah. Reminds me of different scenario, the movie Terminal Man that Tom Hanks was in, where the guy
that movie
flew in from was it Krakosia or some imaginary
it was a
Middle
fake
Eastern country. Yeah,
Stan, Stan,
and the country dissolved, so he couldn't leave the airport because his passport wasn't valid, but he couldn't go back home, and he was caught in that loop. So it feels like the same thing.
And he was there for over a year.
He was there for years, wasn't he? It was inspired by a true story, I think.
The guy it was inspired by was there for a couple of years. In the movie, he was only there for like a year.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I thought it was longer. I thought it was more than 5 years or something like that. But it's been a while since I've watched that one, obviously.
Such a good movie. It's one of my favorite movies. I quote it all the time because it's like I love when he's trying to learn English and he's like bite to eat because he's trying to ask somebody out for it's he goes bite to eat a bite and he's like, would you like an eat a bite? He's like, nope. So it's fun. Anyways, that's been what's on my bench this week. What about you?
So I've kind of been cleaning up the 3D print room a little bit because I'm getting back into that stuff happening here because I have a market coming up on Thursday. So I need to, I think I'm mostly okay with inventory. There's probably just a few bestsellers that I'll have to do a few reprints on here soon. But for the most part, I think because the last time that I had something specific 3D print was around Christmas time. So there was a lot of Christmas themed stuff that I have that I didn't need to I didn't need to reprint a bunch of ornaments or other things. And I still have some hitch covers because there were a few that I had printed that were I only printed one of them or something like that because I didn't know how well that they would go over. But I do have a few other things that are printed as hitch covers that I have. So I'll go back over some of that stuff and print a couple things because this is the same setup for my summer farmers market. So they're doing a extra early one as a quote unquote preview of the summer farmers market. So it'll be, if my memory serves me correct, it's in the same outdoor area that we are supposed to set up. And I think, as far as I know, I think the weather's supposed to be okay.
Nice.
So 90. I should be okay. Because the one thing, because I think I had mentioned back at that, when I was doing stuff around Christmas, I had gotten a new stand. So it's one of those, you see them a lot at the stands where people set up and hang clothes on there and they have racks with it. So they're kind of they're those panels that are it's got the square metal grid pattern on there that they hang on. So I had used that, and there were some of them where I'd clip stuff on there, clips with a little S hook on there that I can hang things or other things like the hitch covers. They fit perfectly in that grid, so I can just slip them in there and display them that way. So I can have a little bit of vertical space to show off more inventory. So I'm excited to use that one. But I'm also excited to not bring back a couple of things that I didn't really have a lot of sales of. So like I'm not gonna really, because I had already axed earrings, and I think I'm not gonna do anything with like the little like drawstring sweatshirts because I never really sold any of those, and like croc charms and stuff. So I'm just not gonna deal with those because like the amount of sales that I had on there was like it was maybe a handful, and those are low dollar items to begin with. So I'm like, it's not worth it to bring out a full on display with the variety that you need to have someone actually choose and pick something. So yeah, we'll I do have a few dragon eggs left over because those didn't like go over like super well at the holiday one, but I don't know if people are looking for that in particular for there. So I had printed a bunch to have there, so I have more than enough inventory to show off. So hopefully if it's some overlap of people that I saw in the summer come by, I'll still have new stuff that they probably hadn't seen if they didn't see me at the last Christmas and kind of Thanksgiving-ish markets that I was at. And then obviously I've been doing a lot of stuff with track, and it's been a lot more time investment than I had originally predicted. So I haven't been doing a whole lot of stuff because it's like, I think I can't remember how many track meets I've had in the last 7 to 10 days, but it's a lot. Because, you know, you're there for like the whole day because you got to drive. You got the field events that start ahead of the running events, and you're wrangling injuries with kids and making sure that people are getting the warm-ups they need and everything like that. So you're fully involved while you're there. So it's not like you're not doing anything all day, but it's just a lot of stuff like to think through. And then I've had some injuries crop up for people.
Oh yeah. So around that, have the kids taken the joke too far? Are they still just, Alex, look out for the hurdles?
I haven't. They haven't brought that one up quite as much. So like the first week and a half after that, like they hit that pretty hard, but they haven't been going back to that recently. So maybe I'll have to, you know, do something else to get their attention. Yeah, maybe I'll have to hit something or run into a goalpost. Some type of slapstick, you know, physical comedy.
I mean, as long as it's being filmed, that's all that matters.
Exactly. You just got to catch it on tape.
Yep.
And then I've been kind of piecemeal going over some videos on CNC stuff because I haven't gone back to the CNC since I did my like initial build and test stuff out with the Next Wave unit that I got. So I have a long drive tomorrow. It's like round trip. It's going to be like 4 hours on the bus. So I'll have a lot of time on my hands to go through some YouTube videos. So I'm going to be going over some stuff to kind of like mentally prep myself for things that I'll be doing for the like spoil board stuff and first initial projects, and any other calibration type stuff. So getting everything together for that. So I won't have, obviously I'm not going to have anything built from the CNC for that like initial preview market that's this week, but my hope is to have stuff ready for the beginning of the season, which I think is the end. It's either the end of May or beginning of June is like the first week of that. I can't remember which it was, but I know I've got the calendar for it. So my son gets out of school here like halfway through May, which is I think about the same week that state track is, and that's when coaching stuff kind of calms down and goes away. So then I'm like, I can breathe again and not have quite as many irons in the fire. So
nice.
So I'll have him at home. So I will have somewhat skilled labor to use for a little bit until his swim team and summer program. I guess it's technically like summer, not like summer maybe summer day camp is kind of what it is, because they have a Parks and Rec program that has some stuff that they do. So, but he has like a 2-week window where he's got nothing, so we have to keep him occupied during then, so he's not just vegging out the entire time.
Nice. On that.
Help is on the way, dear!
So
I see that image in my head every time that comes up. They say you can't. An image does not have words, but anytime you see that image or hear that audio, they just go together.
Absolutely.
Robin Williams, glorious.
Yep. So what didn't go well this week?
So my wife has gotten an itch to get rid of this, like, it's a tree /
There's medication
bush.
for that.
Yeah, anti-itch, Benadryl. Anyway, so there's all this like landscaping stuff that she wants to do. We've been planting grass, and there's this bit of side yard that we want to basically make part of the backyard, because as part of the front yard, it doesn't really do anything. It's not really used. So part of that is getting rid of this like giant tree bush thing. It's like one of those things where it's like the if you've ever seen those bushes that grow like skinny and tall, and they're like, gosh, I can't remember when this thing was like in full bloom, if it was like 10 feet tall or something like that.
Oh, okay.
And the like stems of this thing are like, before it had gotten trimmed back in the past, they were like maybe 2 to 4 inches in diameter. So it's like multiple of these clustered together that had grown upright. And so we're getting rid of this thing, which I don't know if you can call it the stump or the cluster of all of these, is like maybe 3 feet in diameter, maybe 2.5. And so we've been trying like to dig around it and get rid of it, because we've gotten rid of some smaller trees in the backyard that are like diameter wise, like around the 10-inch diameter, which those are not terrible to like get rid of the roots on. You just got to dig down far enough, cut the roots, and then you kind of push it over and it pops out. Or you just dig down and chop down far enough and then just cover it in dirt, and it'll rot over time and just be fine. So this one, we're like digging around the sides and trying to get below all of the roots on this thing. So we've been trying to like break it up and get rid of it, but it's just like this thing won't die. And so like we tried a ratchet strap going around it, and then my wife got all antsy about ratchet strapping to like the power pole. I'm like, it's fine if we do that. But so she wanted us to use the tree. I was like, this tree is like smaller than this thing, so we're more likely to pull our own tree out than we are this like dead stump thing.
I was gonna laugh so hard if you knocked out power and then get sued by the city.
No, those power poles go down so far deep, and they're so thick. Because what I wanted to do is I wanted to have a ratchet strap going from each of those, so one from our tree and then one from the power pole, and then they come and then loop around, so then the force is cut in half and it's distributed more so across those. But so to appease her, because that's what this whole process is appeasing my wife.
The wife
don't have to have this done. There's no actual schedule this needs to be done by. She just wanted it done because she wanted it done. So I just ratchet strapped to the tree, which this tree is only like maybe 10 inches in diameter. It's a maple tree, and we got it nice and taut, but like I couldn't get the ratchet strap to go any further. So like that wasn't helping, so we had to dig down more, and so we're still in progress of doing this. So I did get out the power wash to like clean out everything, because what I had originally done was I had gotten everything soaked in that area, so then like when you're pulling on it, the roots can pull through. The downside of that is if it doesn't pull through with the roots, now the dirt that's around it is heavier because it's saturated with water. So when that initial pull of that ratchet strap didn't do anything, it's like, crap, now we got to dig more and pull more roots off. So we had dug down further, and then we went through and I took the power washer and have been going through and basically cleaning out those roots, because you get those like we get a lot of clay soil in our area, so it's like almost like gravel chunks that are coming out. So you get these big chunks coming out that are stuck in all of these roots. And we have this like is it like creeping thyme or something like that? The like little purple stuff that's like purple flowers. And we
This
have
is
these
a
little,
woodworking podcast, not a gardening podcast, so I don't know.
it's a tree, it's a stump, like it's a wood product, so it's relevant.
It's a stretch.
Oh, come on. let me have my moment. Come on. So anyway, they're these like, they're not, I don't think they're true honeybees, but they like flying around. So they've been flying around. I actually got one stuck in my shirt, and I don't know if it actually.
Bees?
What?
Mason bees. They kind of look like honeybees, but they're solitary, so they don't have a hive.
Are there like a bunch of them? Mason.
Not usually. They're usually solitary.
They're not the ones that like cut into wood, are they?
Yes, that's what a mason bee is. Yeah.
No, it's not these. Or carpenter bees. Are carpenter bees and mason bees the same thing? Maybe.
That I don't know. Chime in on the notes, folks. Leave a comment on the. What do you think?
Anyway, I got one cut in my shirt, and I think I don't know if it stung me or not, but I've never been stung by something before, so I didn't know if it was just like under the shirt, so I don't think it was.
That calls for what? You've never been stung before?
No, not by like a wasp or a bee, which is surprising because I screwed around with like catching insects all the time. So I always had like a freaking net to catch stuff with.
Emotional damage.
I feel hurt by this. I feel like you just need. I'm gonna find a bee and sting you with it. Like
I have also never broken a bone. So no broken bones, no bee stings or other stings.
This is how have you how
I'm just that talented.
Or you're isolated? I don't, man. I remember my very first bee sting, which was in like kindergarten or something, and I was literally standing outside of the school, and I was just talking with my friends, and the bee came up and stung me right in the ear, and it actually, like, when it fell away, the stinger was still lodged in my ear, like a natural piercing.
Well, that's what I was looking for, because like it was on kind of like my shoulder, so I was like looking and I couldn't like see a stinger, so I was like, maybe it was just like the hooks from its legs that were like hooking in, and that's what I felt, because it's like, I feel as though it would have been more intense.
It could have been a stingless bee, which they bite, they don't sting.
Oh, maybe. Because I tried to because when I got him out of my shirt, I tried to look and see if he had like a stinger on his butt, but I didn't see any, so I'm like, maybe he used it.
Yeah, it could be, or it could be one of the biting ones. Yeah, I didn't know a lot about them, but I just recently learned a lot about stingless bees and how they're actually fairly common on most continents. So I also didn't know how many different types of bees there were. I was watching a YouTube video and it was talking about in the state of Washington alone, there's like 37 different known species of bee. So it was just crazy. Yeah.
Anyway, I've talked enough about that stuff. So anyway, that's what I've been intentionally trying to break this thing down, which it has also been rotting a little bit. So some of those like 2 to 4 inch diameter pieces I've actually been able to pull out, and they've just been like crumbling. Like some of them have got like a little bit of like spalting in there, but they're like punky, so they're not usable. Like I wouldn't use this for anything. So it's just trash to me.
Nice. Well, for me, things have been going really well in the shop, at least so far. I'm going to knock on all the wood. So nothing really went wrong this week. My eye is actually doing, I mean, if you can't even see the red anymore, So the medication they gave me is working well. I think I start getting tapered off of it on Wednesday, so that should be good because it's a steroid. They wanted it a full week. So things have been going really good. Fingers crossed.
Nice. Good to hear.
Here comes the money. Here we go. Money talk.
Yeah, good to hear. Thank you. So what you selling? So this week, I'm getting ready for the UFO Fest, but I already sold 2 things for the UFO Fest, which makes me excited. 2 people that took my numbers from last year's show already reached out. One person wants one of my big floating UFOs, the electromagnet ones, which is like a $300 item. And another person wants a light up UFO. So they both called, said, "Hey, we're going to be there on Saturday. Want to make sure you have one set aside for us." And so we've set up everything we needed and set aside. So that's pretty cool.
Wonderful.
Yeah, just means I won't get shot out. Hopefully. Unfortunately, I haven't taken a down payment because I just didn't want to deal with getting my payment system out of the case yet. But so we'll see. And besides that, so Hamilton Dilbeck has launched his new website called cncfiles.com. I was one of the beta testers on it and had uploaded a bunch of my CNC files. And I already sold a file on it, so I get a little commission, which is cool. But if you are looking for CNC files, go check out that site. It's a place where for Vectric, for Carveco, a whole bunch of the other software, all the files are put together, and you can just buy projects to help you, so you don't have to learn how to design if you don't want to. So
apparently ducks are trending right now, and
he does this big duck tray thing. It's not my area because I'm not in the South, and he's in Georgia, and so I know it's a big duck. He uses duck call heads, and he puts them on a tray to make duck trays. It's a thing. So yeah. That's what I've been selling this week. Have you sold anything or quoted anything?
Yeah, I can't remember if I mentioned this last, but I had someone reach out to quote a TV cabinet to basically cover the TV so that when kids are playing, it doesn't accidentally get hit by a ball or whatever.
Yeah, you mentioned that last week.
Okay, yeah. So before I thought it was because I had a whole bunch of stuff going on last week because I had my grandpa's funeral and then track meet and all that stuff, and I thought that so when I had gotten the message, I had just kind of skimmed it initially. I didn't look at the link that they had shared, so I thought it was going to be more like a frame that goes around the edges, but it was what I had previously just described, where it's more of like a covering to make it a cabinet. So it's going to be a little bit more involved. So I've been kind of playing around with what types of hinges work with this for like the size of TV and everything, and make sure that like they don't sag and whatever, and like where because it's going to be 4 panels, but on each side those 2 panels are connected, so kind of like your corner cabinetry in your kitchen, if you have one of those, where it's got like 2 of those panels and there's one hinge connected and there's like a piano hinge in between, or something that's equivalent to that. So, and where that kind of tucks away and how it looks when it tucks away and everything like that. So I had done something for them previously that was a wrapped mantle made out of maple, so they want that same maple for that one. So I'm getting it together to quote it and then send it out there. So I just need to figure out some of the hinge details and whatnot, because the amount of wood is not going to change. It's mainly the hinges and what type of hardware there is that would change, and some of the assembly and how to mount it against the wall and everything. So we'll see how that goes.
Nice. Well, then why don't we get on to who we're watching this week?
I always feel like somebody's watching me.
So this week, the first one that I want to shout out is Urza's Woodworks. So
Ezra or Urza?
Ezra's Woodworks. Urza's Woodworks.
I never know.
I'm sorry, it's EZRAS. I know I am. It's it's a thing. Anyways, they made a wooden wallet out of, I don't remember the type of wood. They didn't name it, and I have some of this wood downstairs. I forget what it's called, but it's like super fancy red burl, and it's got a very like light white sapwood that just like stark difference between the two. And it's a tropical wood. I forget. It's very, very dense. I forget what it's called.
Okay. I didn't know if it was a, because that made me think of box elder, which is domestic, which is different from what you're saying.
Yeah, it's a tropical. I know it comes from Brazil, but beyond that, because I have a chunk of it. But
is it the Brazilian walnut?
No, because it's red, bright red, like almost Paduke red.
Well, Brazilian walnut is actually, what is it actually? I used to know this. Oh, no, that's Ipe. My bad. No, yeah, that wouldn't be it. For some reason, I thought that it was more reddish, but no, Ipe is not the right one that I was thinking of.
If you Google search tropical redwood with burl and light-colored sapwood, it comes up. It's the first thing it's called. It's red mallee, Mallee, burl.
Like Malay almost?
Malay, yeah. Oh, it's Australian. I'm sorry. I thought it was Brazilian. It's
Australian. So it's probably poisonous.
Yeah, well, something like that. Steven, you'll have to let me know what you think.
Well, a lot of the Australian woods are pretty dense, aren't they?
It's extremely dense, yeah.
Yeah. Because that's where ironwood and a lot of other stuff comes from.
Yeah. He made a wallet out of it. It looked really pretty. It had a nice pocket that he did by hand with a router and everything. No CNC on this one. The only thing I'm hesitant on with it is he used magnets in the corners to hold it together. And I'm like, I don't think that's going to be good with your credit cards. I might be wrong, but I just didn't think that you would want a couple of rare earth magnets that close to your credit cards.
Yeah, that could potentially cause an issue. I haven't really looked into it to know, but yeah,
I haven't either. So
it's worth looking into at least.
Absolutely. But that was my first one.
I have Yessie over on Knock on Wood FL. So she made today a really fun video of her mobile carts that was just all of this like deadpan comedy that was just wonderful.
Yeah.
Because what was really funny too was like going in between scenes. Like there's some of them where she had like a slight fan blowing on her for like the like the wispy hair type stuff, and others it didn't. And then she had one.
I was giggling a lot.
It was really funny. So it was a lot of fun to watch. And I had commented on there because she was like, "Yep, all of the individually cut and installed wood slats are installed, put in, and questioned." I was like, so how many of them plead the fifth? We need to know.
All of them.
Probably. But yeah, that's what I
got. My next one. So for those who don't know, the Scroll Saw Challenge 2026 happened this past week, or the entries were released for it. Two of them I wanted to shout out. So these are my next two. So I'm going to start with GB Studio Art. They created, so the very famous Vincent van Gogh self-portrait, Vincent. Mm-hmm. They created a scroll saw version of that, but it has a sunflower over in the corner. His suit that he's wearing has the Starry Night pattern on it. Okay. And then the entire thing is the colors of Starry Night. It is incredible. I was extremely impressed. I'm impressed really with any scroll saw work because it's always so intricate. But I'm a big fan of Vincent van Gogh's art. My wife loves their art too, or his art. And and so here's a picture of it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's super cool. So anyways, that was my next one.
I don't have any others. I haven't been on.
Oh no.
I've been
Well,
perusing a bunch of woodworking related. I've had plenty of other reels that I found that I've shared, but just none woodworking related.
okay. Well, then my last one then is another part of the Scroll Saw 2026 release. This one was from withlove.jd. They did a scroll saw version of the Lorax, and I'm going to describe it briefly. And it's basically at the bottom, it is the book, the Lorax, and it's open. And then coming out of the book is the truffle of trees. It's got a light, LED light that comes up. A kid is like climbing up the light, and up at the top, the Lorax there. And it says, unless someone like you cares an awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not, just like the book. And so here is the picture of it. It is so cool. I love this book. Lorax was my favorite kids book, but yeah, that lighting was well done. So that one was my favorite out of all the entries I've seen. So great job, guys.
Nice.
I've just had an apostrophe.
I think you mean an epiphany.
Lightning has just struck my brain.
Well, that must hurt.
Tonight's main topic is our listener questions. That's from Hook, another Robin Williams movie.
Oh,
that was me talking to Captain Hook. Yep, I love that movie. But I saw that and I was like, it was either going to be that one, or it was going to be.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Which we've already done, but I thought it fits with listener questions. So, because you guys ask these questions, so it's your fault for what we get. So our first question, I'm just going to give first names, even though we have some overlap with different first names, but I didn't want to shout out listener names, not knowing if they wanted their full names shared or not. So Jimmy asked us, if you were blessed with a or another child, what wood related tool or part would you choose as their name? I'm going to kind of cop out a little bit, and because I have always, another person already has this name. I would say Juniper, because that was always the name I was going to pick if we had a daughter. And so our friend Pete over at Another Woodshop Podcast named his daughter Juniper.
See, that's not a wood related tool or part though. That's just a wood.
I know, but I count that. I'm not going to name somebody Chisel. You know, like
name someone miter.
No. But yeah, so I had always thought I would do like Juniper. But what about you? Any thing off the top of your head here?
Come here, ETS 150. No. That would be great though. Gosh, that reminds me of do you remember I can't remember which commercial it was where they like sell the naming rights to the kids, and so when they're at graduation, their name is read off as like,
oh yes, like,
sun tanning.
It was a Gerber. I think it was a Gerber for the Gerber like babies fund thing. It was a Super Bowl commercial.
Oh like yeah, for like investing or whatever. That sounds right. It's immediately what it makes me think of.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm trying to think of something in the shop. Oh, Forstner wouldn't sound good.
No.
Ooh, you could do here's a good one. You could do Brad and then middle name Point.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, you could do Brad.
Get away with that one because those are
absolutely
those are nice drill bits.
Those are, or Brad Nail, you know.
Exactly. You could do that as well. That would be a good one. I'm trying to think if there's any other good ones that I could come up with.
Well, we can circle back so we can move on to the next question. Since that was,
I love you, RO 150.
Brayden asks, who is your you'll know which Braden this is. Who is your favorite Another Woodshop podcast host?
Pete.
Ooh, why's that?
Because he always compliments when I send in a question. He likes how organized I am because I like write out the question and have the file saved as the question. And he always says, every time, Alex sends us a question, sometimes we get a good one, but he says that almost every single time. So
you like that he's making fun of you?
No, I like the flattery.
I would say Dan, mainly because I aspire to be the grumpy old man that Dan is. And I just think everybody needs to be a grumpy old man. I like it.
That's fair.
Jimmy asks, if you had to raise an animal army, but could only choose an animal from a petting zoo to fill your ranks, what animal would you choose and why? I'll answer. I'm going to say a rabbit, a bunny. Because
you're going the Monty Python route.
I don't know Monty Python very well, so I don't know.
There's like this reference. Like rabid rabbit that they have to throw the holy hand grenade at to blow up because it like attacks them viciously.
Oh, okay. No, I was thinking you can feed them grass and they self-propagate very, very easily. So your army can become a horde very quickly, and I like that idea.
I'm thinking through the different animals in the petting zoo, and I just keep on coming back to the billy goats because they take out small children, and that's,
donkey was my second choice because a donkey, because they could kick them really hard.
That's true. I feel as though billy goats are more aggressive, though, especially when food is involved.
Yeah, well, and I love the videos of them, headbutting the kids to the ground.
This pairs so nicely with Blessed with Another Child.
I know, right? All right. Greg has asked, what is a woodworking rule that you followed early on that eventually you learned to break?
So I love using the Rotex, and honestly, I don't go to the random orbit mode on it for like the final finishing for most of my woods because I go up to like 220-ish. And honestly, the finish has been good enough. And most of the time I'm working on walnut anyway, and it works fine for walnut. So like I rarely use the random orbit unless it's like it shows. So that's kind of like my cheaty pants, cutting corners that I do.
Mine's probably all safety related. Like when I don't do something that's safety wise that I should, like getting your thumb too close to the blade on the bandsaw, like things like that. Like
fine.
I take probably too close. I would say that, or the standard rule that everybody says, measure right twice, cut once. No, I just learned how to measure, and I measure once and I write it down and then I cut it. Like,
I always like cut and sneak up on the fit. That's like something that comes
measure
into
once,
play a
cut
lot.
twice.
Yeah, I intentionally cut it short so I can sneak up on the cut and get perfect fit with like relative dimensioning.
Yeah. Let's see. Rick says, for Duffy, why don't you cut your own cribbage board pegs on the CNC? Honestly, cost. That's my answer for that. I can get pegs at 2 cents a piece from a manufacturer in China that are metal, and they're machined metal, so they look really nice in silver, bronze, and painted black. And so they look really, really nice, and I don't have to make them out of wood, and I don't have to deal with tiny, tiny little pieces breaking and shattering on the CNC. So
yeah,
it's just it's time and cost.
Yeah, metal looks a lot better for the cribbage pieces anyway.
I think so too, and because I use magnets with the cribbage cover, the little hole that you put them in, when you remove the cover, and if like all of a sudden you start like the pieces don't fly everywhere. They actually get attracted to the magnets. So they're really easy to grab and pull out versus, having them fall on the table or something. So, yeah. Braden asks for language and just whatever. Fuck, Mary Kill Shop Tool Edition. So I'm going to say, table saw. Oh, okay.
Don't need it. Don't care.
I'm going to kill the jointer. Don't need it. Don't care. I have one. I use it maybe once a year.
Yeah, with the CNC usage, that's a legitimate one. That's okay. Especially if you get a lot of material that's dimension thickness.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I'm going to marry the CNC. It's reliable. It's steady. It produces a lot. I like it.
It's always greased up, ready to go.
Yep.
I watched your video on how to grease the CNC.
Hey,
that was one of the videos that I was watching with CNC maintenance, and you with that grease gun in the CNC, whoo, get a room.
Oh yeah. Wait, which one? The newest one? With the HD?
I don't remember when it was released. I think it
okay. The one at Next Wave?
Ago. I don't. It was on your channel.
But was I at Next Wave with Brandon?
No.
Then it was the old video. Okay.
Let's see.
That's who I'd marry.
Mary. God. I'm gonna have to go with the Rotex. The domino will probably just have to be my mistress then. Let's see.
Screw. I was gonna go with either the sander or the dust collector or the dust extractor from Festool.
Dust extractor makes sense. The sander would be a little rough.
It would be a little rough. At least one sucks.
Yeah. You know what? Maybe I'll just go with the domino on fuck.
Okay. There you go. All right. Paul asks, what is your favorite tool?
You're going to say CNC again, aren't you?
I mean, it is kind of my brand. So yes, if I don't pick the CNC, I would say the bandsaw because it is so versatile and you can do a lot with it.
Especially if you get it tuned up nice and you have good bearings, guide bearings on there or bushings or whatever absolutely. It ended up getting used and it's really tuned in nicely.
Yeah, my 14-inch from Raycon that I bought brand new. It's one of the first tools I bought brand new. Absolutely love it, and it's a workhorse, and I think it's one of the best purchases I've made in the shop.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
You're gonna say the Rotex again?
Probably. Yeah, I'll probably stick with the Rotex. It's just like it's also because I do actually enjoy sanding, just because of the you get to go through and you get to go from something that was not as polished and nice and had that rougher surface finish to what that final finish is like. And I just like going through that progression. Plus I get to, watch movies and other stuff while I do it in most scenarios. So it's very meditative.
Carly asks, do you actually believe in UFOs and Sasquatch? I assume that meant this question was for me, but I'll have you answer too. But I'll start by saying I do not believe in Sasquatch. I don't think Sasquatch is real, or if it was, it's definitely not around anymore. Because I just don't think in the world we live today that you could have an apex predator that large surviving without people seeing it on a regular basis. Right. And then as far as UFOs, I mean, I assume you mean aliens by that, because UFOs, yeah, if I don't know what that dot is in the sky, that's a UFO. So technically, but aliens, yes. Caveat, I think a lot of UFOs that people see are not real. Do I think aliens are here on this planet? Maybe. I think there's too much evidence to say yes than no. I think another likely scenario is a lot of what we see in the advanced craft we see is another civilization that evolved here on this planet that, for example, lives in the ocean, because there are more unidentified submersible objects reported every year than there are flying objects reported.
So the Atlanteans.
Not necessarily the Atlanteans, but I mean, think of the movie The Abyss, where you have that whole other species that evolved, a technological advanced species that evolved.
I am aware of the movie that you were talking about, because I have seen it. I saw it a couple months ago, and it actually just kind of popped up recently on YouTube TV. So yeah, that one tracks.
Yeah, I think that's more realistic, because our planet is so big. We know so little about the oceans. And for all we know, they could live underneath in the crust. I mean, our planet is so massive, and humans can only reach less than 3% of it. So there could be a lot going on down there that we don't know.
Yes, I also agree on the same thing with saying no on Sasquatch, but yes to UFO and extraterrestrial life. I have not dug into it very, like, I have not gone down that rabbit hole to discern, like you had said, what is something that is just an unidentified object versus actual extraterrestrial life. So yeah. I think it's in that plausible scenario where, like, it wouldn't surprise me, but I'm not like hell bent on like, yes, this is 100% proof of this, that, and the other thing and whatnot. So I have not like put my stake in the sand on what exactly is or is not out there.
I will say, I give that caveat of what is here and what we see. I do 100% believe that extraterrestrial life does exist. I don't think it's possible for it not to. I know a lot of people are religious wise and go down that role. For me, it doesn't make sense that life would only live here, even if you are religious. The whole, made in his image. Well, the soul, not necessarily the physical body. Let's go that route. So I love from the movie Contact the quote, "If it is just us, it's a great waste of space, because we have this massive universe and we think it's just us." No, there's plenty of other life.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so Greg asks, what project early on in your career do you think helped you grow most as a woodworker? And I will also say Jimmy then asked a very similar question, which is, what project are you most proud of? Not because it's perfect, but because it taught you, or I assume how much it taught you. So I think both of those are kind of the same question in a way. I will say for me, it was when I saw from Blacktail Studio, he did a video about creating an end table with a hand power carved table and selling it on Etsy without a following, anything like that. I had never done furniture at that point. I'd always done small stuff or bowls or knickknacks and that stuff. And so it gave me the idea of, hey, you know what, I can do that. And here's the video that I could just follow the instructions to do. And I made a walnut side table that I hand power carved the base out of. And so it's a nice tulip base that I created for it. And it is made from walnut that was taken down from the Sauvie Island tree in Oregon, which at the time was the largest walnut tree on the planet when it fell, or when it was taken down. So it's a piece of history that I created a cool thing with, and it's still my favorite project. And I learned so much on that project. I learned how to do joinery, to put the pedestal and the tabletop together, how to make sure that was straight. I learned how to power carve during that. I learned how to use a spoke shave to knock down the edges. Like, there was so much I learned during that project that I appreciated it.
Mm-hmm. I would say project wise, these were part of a set of projects, but the first one out of them was a bench, and that was the first full-on project where I'd use the domino and use joinery and got all that stuff kind of together, because I think prior I might have done some glue ups on boards with the domino. So it was just like alignment previous to that. But it was doing the joinery and the length and the aprons and all that stuff. And it was a live edge bench. So that was going from, just doing some like charcuterie boards and flat slab stuff that just had like metal legs that you screwed on to the entire piece, growth wise, because I think that also gave the confidence of using the domino for other projects in that joinery, which I'm not saying that like the domino is the best, but it allowed me to think in a way that I could use that tool for other projects. And then for the project that you're most proud of, because of what it taught you, there's a separate project that it was one of the ones where it was a sentimental tree. And this was one where I did have a little bit of creative room to work on this one. And the one that I was most proud of was the material selection of this side table and the usage of sapwood strategically, so that the live edge top with the sapwood went well with the extra shelf on the bottom that connected to the legs. So that was one. It was a little bit, because I had done a little bit of work with a domino, like I was in tune with that, but it was the material selection and really honing in on matching up what I wanted it to look like and really verifying, yes, I can do good material selection to make the usage of sapwood and figure tasteful and not just like vomiting figure and just doing like a slab of figure just because it's a slab of figure, right?
Right.
Because sometimes you can have something that, it looks pretty but doesn't fit in the room, or it just looks off with like the leg selection or whatnot. So that one, the really verifying the skill set of material selection, grain selection, and making sure everything works visually, because sometimes you can even have stuff work dimensionally, but because of visually how that wood looks, it can make the dimensions look off, even though they're like correct and should be like proportional to some degree.
Nice. Evan asks, is there an Alex 1 and an Alex 2, like thing 1, thing 2?
Shut up.
Okay, so if you ask Jimmy, Trash Panda, yes, there is an Alex 1 and Alex 2 because he wrote it on his little gifts he sent us, Alex 1 and Alex 2. I go the opposite direction. He said I was Alex 1 and Adams is Alex 2. I go the other way. I say Alex Adams is Alex 1 and I'm Alex 2, which is why if you watch the YouTube video, you will always see Alex is on the left side where I'm on the right side, because I put him first.
And you like to steal my reels. Jerk.
Evan asks, what is the most expensive mistake you've made that resulted in firewood? While you think, I would say, I don't have one example. My example would be basically anytime I prototype a new product, I end up running through so many variations or so many mistakes the first time around that by the time I figure out what I'm doing for the mass production of it, it's changed enough that like that prototype that I spent a lot of time and money on to create is now just for Victoria and I, because I would not sell it to anybody else. There's plenty of my game boards that are that way, that I spent lots of money on fancy wood when I first got started, and I would never sell them to somebody today. So yeah, I would say whenever I prototype something, because I spend so much time and effort into it, that by the time I figure out the product and when I get feedback from everybody else, I've spent a lot of money into it. And usually those prototypes end up in the trash or on my counter somewhere. Yeah. Alex is thinking about church pews and how they almost burn.
Because the wording of this is the ringer because resulted in a piece of firewood. Like, I've had mistakes where I've had to swap out a different piece of wood, but I didn't have to actually burn it because I was able to use it for other stuff.
Yeah, I agree with that statement, because there a lot of the times I say the hallmarks of any woodworker are, if you do make a mistake and it's, at that point you can move on and reuse it or do something else with it.
Yeah, there are enough fixes for things that I've been able to recover from mistakes. So, like, if you're moving something around and it gets dented, you just pop out the dent with an iron. That's one that comes up all the time for me. I don't know if I've had one that's that fatal. I'm trying to think of, like, because for me, something that would be true firewood would potentially be like if something was like laser engraved on there and you couldn't use it anymore.
He's thinking.
Probably. There's some times where I've had to cut further up a piece of wood because of like a crack or a void that I was just not aware of where that was. And so as a result, that offcut piece ends up being a cross cut that is only like 4 inch, like less than like 4 inches long, and I have to like scrap that, and it's like good figured wood, but it's so short that I can't use it. So that's probably, like, for something that truly does become firewood, that's probably the scenario that I've ran into. Is like, so if you have a cross cut on a piece and you're cutting on the end, and like one corner of the end on what you hope to use as the piece, like you end up cutting it a little bit shorter, but then that extra cut piece is only like 2 to 3 inches long. It's not really useful for anything because it's like, it's in that dimension where it's short enough that it doesn't work as like a coaster or anything like that. But like lengthwise, it's still like 10 or 12 inches, but it's all in the wrong grain direction, so you can't really use it very well. So like those are the ones that I truly burn and would. I don't think it's like a super fatal mistake, like the entire project is ruined, but it's what I actually burn.
Yeah, I had meant that in my answer and go a little bit like yours. When I first started getting into woodworking and I wasn't paying attention because I didn't know to pay attention to this grain direction and where the cut of the wood was, I would buy a lot of scrap wood or wood like at Gobi where they do their offcuts, but I wouldn't pay attention to where that pith is. And I'd get it home and it would hardcore warp, or it would have pith all the way through. So I'd have checks everywhere. A lot of that I ended up either trashing or spending way too much time trying to fix because I started with a flawed piece of wood that I shouldn't have. And so I would say I learned a lot from using that because I don't do that now. I make sure to look where that pith is. Mm-hmm. Or where a big knot is and how big of that check is. Finally, Jules asks, what is your most controversial or hot woodworking take opinion that you would get canceled for?
It's that I like sanding, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I like sanding.
Probably the most controversial one. I don't know if I truly get canceled for that.
No, you get canceled for other things for sure.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say I'll say mine, which is I think the table saw is overrated, and I think saw stop is overrated. I just don't think it's worth the money, and I don't like that they hog the technology and refuse to license it cheap enough to allow other people to use it.
Oh, don't worry. They've made their patent free, like, what was it, like 3 months before the patent expired or something like that, just to get good PR. Because
yes, but because of the way it works, that one patent doesn't. There's still like 20 something patents around it.
Right, yeah, it's the exact same thing that they do
them.
with prescription medication, where they
Yeah.
they come out with, you know, a slightly higher dosage or some type of addition to it that makes it enough to be unique, but the original formula is still like no longer under patent or whatever, but you still want to have the whole thing, so it on its own is not useful. Because I would say, because obviously kickback is a very big issue with table saws, that can happen, but I mean, for the most part, if you're using a riving knife and some of the other stuff, it minimizes that scenario from happening. It, like, and the saw stop technology does not prevent that particular case from happening, so it can give people an overabundance of confidence, because it does, like, it can do that. But yeah, I'm also of the opinion that, like, you don't need a table saw. Like, I don't hate them. I just personally don't need them for my workflow.
I hate how people get so excited, like, oh, you need the biggest and baddest, or you need, you know, this giant thing, and you need to you know, plan your shop around this one tool, the table saw, and that's it. I'm like, no, there's plenty of other ways to do stuff. So
yeah, it's funny because, like, everyone shits on Shopsmith for being the one tool, and yet people use, like, the table saw as kind of like the one tool, and they come up with, like, I mean, very high-end miter gauges and other accessories in order for it to do other operations. And it's like, yeah, you can make it do other stuff, but do you need it to do other stuff? It's like, or you just get a good miter saw.
You can say the same thing about a CNC though too. But
yeah, there's the repeatability aspect of the CNC, of batching stuff out, that has merit regardless. I'm trying to think of other stuff that would get me canceled that I have opinions on. Let's see.
I could make that a whole episode for me, but we're not going to go there.
Oh, let's see. I mean, I already kind of said the thing about using the Rotex. I only do that for certain woods. Because most of the time it looks just fine and it's good enough. Because I will say that going through the proper grit stages enables that to be a usable way to have an end product not use random orbit sanding.
Nice. Well, thank you guys for asking questions. We'll do another one of these in a few months, so send in your burning questions. Or
wait, you forgot one. There was one more. I think it yeah, it's right here.
Oh, yes. It wasn't necessarily, that isn't necessarily a question. It's a podcast challenge, which I was going to get into, but I wanted to, let's bring it up now, but we can do this in another episode too, and talk about this more next month, or to do this for the month of June or something. But so the challenge from Jimmy was that we should do a podcast challenge, which is to make the fanciest project from a single 2x4, and you and I should face off each other, but also invite our listeners to take a challenge with us.
I've already made this.
Oh, you have?
I have.
Well, fine. We're going to do it again.
No, can I tell you what it is? Because if I'm not going to remake it. What?
A 1x2?
No.
You just made the 2x4 smaller?
So
you got to make it. That's the point. This is the challenge. We got to challenge.
Yeah, I made it though. I already made this, and it qualifies under this. So this project, I think you may have, the project of what it is. You've seen it before. So the steps that I proposed to my wife on, the back steps, that was made out of like 2x4 material, just old like 2x4 material. And so after the parents had moved out of that house, I had gotten the wood from the person, and I had turned those 2x4s into a picture frame that I gave to my wife for our 10-year anniversary. And we had the picture of me proposing to her within that picture frame. And what I did on this was, because it was obviously weathered wood and it had the kind of gray, both texture as well as the gray color to it. What I did was, only on 2 faces did I actually cut it down to the bare wood. So that is the show face, which it has, I'm pretty sure it's like a Doug fir, so it's kind of got that darker and then lighter heartwood and sapwood, and the outside as well as the inside edges. So I did half lap joints for these to put them together, and I made it so that the inside edge of this picture frame as well as the outside edge is still that gray weathered wood. So it holds a lot of sentimental value, but also the design that went into it of exposing the fresh and making it something new, but also going back to the original homage to what this once was, and it was in its prior life, the steps that it actually was, by keeping the old weathered sides of it that can still be seen. So suck it, Duffy.
No. See, this isn't that.
That's fancy.
That's fancy. A beautiful project. It's fancy. It does not count for this, because this is a new challenge, and we both have to go to the store and buy a 2x4.
Shut up.
That's brand new, and then do it. We have to start at the same level here, not some fancy reclaimed wood that you. Anywho, so
because
yes,
I've already done this, and I win, and I don't have to do anything extra. There's no qualifiers that it has to be something made new. That's not in there.
Yes. Well, I'm qualifying it if we're going to do the challenge.
You're just so intimidated by it that you can't top it.
Yeah, sure.
So, and her name is also Alex.
That is true. You love yourself. We know. Okay. So yes, we'll talk more about that podcast challenge here for the month of June coming up. I did remember my other hot take. I totally
also June is the month of our anniversary as well. So boom.
All right, we're doing it in July now. Screw you. My other hot take, by the way, I hate dovetails. I think they're overrated, and I like a butt joint. So there.
Okay. I mean, you'll get some people angry at you, but I'm not gonna hate you over it.
Yeah.
They look great.
I don't like dovetails. I think they're overrated.
See, now what you would get people angry at is that saying hand cut dovetails are overrated. That's where you start forming.
They are overrated.
Okay, now we'll get some people with pitchforks coming after you. That's adequate hatred.
Yeah.
Good news, everyone.
So Maker News this week, we talked about at the top of the show, but I will be at the Texas Woodworking Festival in Austin, September 25th through the 27th. I will be teaching a class there on CNC. Your tickets went on sale this past week, so feel free to go get tickets. Tell them Duffy sent you, drop my name.
Mr.
You don't
Duffy
get a
sends
discount,
his regards.
but you can, just say, he says hi. Yeah. What else do we got coming up, Alex?
Let's see. The Midwest Maker Meetup will be pretty fresh. It'll be the weekend after this airs, right?
Yes, it'll be 3 days after this episode airs, so on May 16th.
Yeah, so if you listen to this fresh, you can still make it, but if you did not listen to it right away, then too bad, so sad, you're dad.
Okay. As a note, the end of the last week of May, the 27th, there will be no podcast that week. I'm going to be out for just a small procedure for a couple of weeks. So there will be no podcast that week, but Alex will be doing another podcast with a mystery guest on June 3rd.
Very small procedure.
Very small. Yes. But I need to be out for 2 weeks. Not that kind of small. I don't know what he's doing. All right, folks. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed and learned a little bit about us, a little bit about our, idiosyncrasies, whatever. And just remember.
In case I don't see ya. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Good night, everybody.
My 2x4 project wins no matter what.